There's a man named James Fishback. He's opposing Byron Donalds there in Florida, and he has a very specific campaign against him.
I got a lot of flack for saying that Byron Donalds was a slave, but I'm not going to apologize for it. If he wants me to stop calling him a slave, he can give the money back to AIPAC.
He's got the music behind him. It's so cool. He's so based. James Fishback is not going to apologize for calling Byron Donalds a slave. You know why? Because he's a slave, according to, James Fishback. Let me let him explain a little further, because that's where he starts, but it's nowhere near where he finishes.
Let's just be completely honest of what Byron Donalds is. Byron Donalds is a tether. He is not an American descendant.
Wait a minute, James. How do you know the term tether?
He is a tether. He is not an American descendant of slaves. So when Byron Donalds cries, like he has over the last couple of weeks, because I call him a slave to AIPAC, a slave to corporate interest, a slave to the pro-immigration lobby that has hurt every race of Americans, but has also hurt Black Americans who disproportionately work in food, hospitality, leisure, and customer service. He is in no position, has no right to be complaining about me calling him a slave when he has absolutely no direct descendant of slavery in his family. He's from Panama. He's from Belize. His dad's from Jamaica. Irrelevant. The precondition of affordability, Consuelo, is having a job. If you do not have a job, literally everything in your life is going to be unaffordable. And if you don't have a job because Byron Donalds is a slave to corporate interests and big super PACs that want to bring in cheap foreign labor, not because they love these people, not because because they will work at half the rate and do double the work. And that is a system that enables the great replacement of all American workers.
So as you can see, James Fishback there, he's punching the term. And in fact, he's makes sure he uses it as many times as possible, no matter how many times folks ask him. So why do you keep doing that, bro? Do you think this is going to help you? It's pretty obvious. He's MAGA. Of course he thinks it's going to help him. It's worked for every other MAGA candidate to gain some support by othering, that dumb minority Black guy who's apparently a slave. But as you can see, he's couching it similarly the way that Donald Trump and the rest of these fascists do. They couched it in these terms as if they're some kind of populist. So he's a slave because of AIPAC. It's a good perspective because AIPAC pays a lot of people and then gets them to do anything that they want. This crosses, partisan lines. They do have many politicians. His reasoning behind why it makes sense for him to call Byron Donalds a slave and not, maybe any other American Black person is because he's not a direct descendant of American slaves, and even went on about calling him a tether, to which, that host was very happy about. Tether? How do you know about that, man? Tether. So just so we know, he's really driving that point home. He's a slave, he's a tether, and he has no reason to be upset about this. But I just want to really reiterate, because maybe because James Fishback keeps reiterating it.
You said that Byron Donalds is a slave to some of these corporate interests. Could you not have made the same point without using such a derogatory term for a Black lawmaker?
Well, look, I think what's derogatory is the fact that Byron Donalds has taken $30 million of corporate money, the vast majority of it, from out of our state to fund his campaign. It's no wonder why he's in the pocket of property developers who want to pave over every little inch of our state for the next strip mall or weed dispensary or liquor store. My message to Byron Donalds is very simple. Give back the $30 million in corporate money. We don't even know really where it came from. We know it's out of state. Give it back so you can actually stand up for American workers. That's the right thing to do.
Give the money back, you slave. I mean, I assume everyone knows who Byron Donalds is. And if you don't, I'm going to get to that soon. But we heard a lot from James Fishback. Listen, these are all the instances, and there's probably more. It's just all that I could find. Here's what he posted. Byron Donalds is a slave, and he capitalized as slave again, who was auctioned off for $31 million. He only wants to please his corporate masters. I'm running for governor to make Florida more affordable and working families, students, and seniors. He's quoting this Politico article that talks about $31.5 million that Donalds has raised in that Florida race. But you see the terms, you see what he highlighted: slave, auctioned, and corporate masters. Just in case you guys really weren't getting the point, it went even further. You know what else Byron Donalds is doing, according to James Fishback, who's very upset about this guy? He retweeted something from Brianna Morello, who said this tweet automatically disqualifies Donalds from any leadership position. And it's apparently Byron Donalds saying, to all celebrating, I wish you a happy Kwanzaa. And Fishback responded and said, so true, Brianna, so true. Well, I'm not in the business of defending Byron Donalds' dumbass, but from what I could see, unless he deleted it, that was never a post from Byron Donalds. Why would Byron Donalds wish anyone a happy Kwanzaa? Byron Donalds doesn't like American black folks. He uses his positioning in MAGA to try and be the one black friend of Donald Trump to get any kind of positioning that he needs. And, James Fishback, maybe he didn't look into whether or not Byron Donalds actually did that. Fishback was not done with old Byron. He says Byron Donalds represents a dark vision. That's in capitals, the dark vision for Florida. One where we surrender our land to AI data centers given to overdevelopment and allow Florida works to be replaced by Indian H-1Bs. As governor, I'll protect our land, workers, and seniors. I feel like his excuse when he's talking about how he's not a direct descendant of American slaves, how that doesn't have anything to do with him talking about dark visions and more terms that are pointing out darkness. Hey, here's another one. The future of Florida is dark if Byron Donalds wins. We will all be, he put in like, he highlighted this with stars. We'll all be enslaved to H-1Bs, private equity and property developers. We don't want to live in chains. Wow. I think you guys are getting the point. I think you're getting the point of what James Fishback is driving. Here's the last thing that I'm going to show you from James Fishback. He did this little random promo video for himself standing outside of a Walmart.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have found Byron Donalds in his natural habitat outside of a Walmart in Tallahassee. He is there. He was with one chicken earlier. He's now moved on to another chicken, as is always his case with these things. And he does not appear to have stolen from the store yet, but third time would be a charm. Stock market's closed, so he has not made a stock trade. But we were, ran into Byron Donalds. That's kind of cool. In Tallahassee, where he went to school.
So he's outside of a Walmart. And apparently Byron Donalds hasn't stolen anything from the store yet, because, that black guy, he's going to show up at a discount store like Walmart and he's going to steal because he's a tether. I don't know. I've been losing track. All I know is that what's dripping is the racism, and that's what's appealing in this party. I wonder if enough people who are following along realize that the party that you're following, the party that you're all about, that is, if you're MAGA, is all about this type of stuff. And I'm not saying it. James Fishback is saying it. And the reason James Fishback is saying it is because everyone else in MAGA says it, and then they prosper from it. The problem with all this is Byron Donalds has any issue with it. It's because he was all on board for, demeaning black Americans for his own political positioning.
You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative-minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
I mean, he's okay with the Jim Crow era because the black family was together and doing great. During the Jim Crow era, when people were fighting for rights in this country, the folks that he said, had their great nucleus of a family together while they weren't being attacked, people weren't being murdered, and the law in the country wasn't backing up those murders. It wasn't happening. It's just Byron Donalds wants you to know that, black Americans in the 50s, that everything was great for them. And now everything is crumbled. It's like he contributed and helped facilitate people like James Fishback to come and attack his ass. And this is even more fun.
It doesn't matter. Why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue.
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm not
it.
the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's you.
You've done it,
I understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
You've done it
Because,
3
George,
times. Every single answer
George,
you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
Every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
Asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm.
And every
about
single
what
time you
truly
repeat
matters
the
in this
slur.
election.
That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience.
He even established it for James Fishback. So what comes with that type of stuff is the hatred and the stereotypes and even the blatant and direct lies that force people to think these subhumans of black folks, no matter where their ancestry comes from, is disgusting. And, so maybe there's a certain percentage of Floridians who see Byron Donalds the same way that probably Donald Trump sees Byron Donalds.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Since they see him that way, and he's always been a part of allowing them to see him that way, I don't know if he can really complain about this whole thing. But one last part, since, Fishback talked about Byron's background being, a Jamaican, he said, Belize. But there were these Haitian folks that were being attacked by the same president that, Byron Donalds loves and he's using for any kind of political, upward mobility that he's looking for in the Republican Party. This was really funny, though. During that time with the cats and dogs thing in Ohio, Good Liars spoke to him about that. This was just funny to me.
Donald Trump said that people are eating cats and dogs in Ohio.
Why are you changing the subject?
Because I want to
debating Kamala Harris right
No,
now.
I just want to know. I would love to know if you think he's losing touch with reality a little bit.
No, absolutely not. Second of all,
Because you saw it on TV.
Second of all, the reality is she dodged every major policy question.
But you're dodging this question.
What matters more to the American people?
I'm asking you, people are eating dogs and cats in Ohio.
You're not. Listen, I actually do care about what is happening to our country.
Same.
Do you want to answer or you want me to answer?
You can go first.
Okay. I actually care about what's happening to this country.
Same.
All right, next question.
It was like a script, bro. It was perfect. That's how you handle people like Byron Donalds. Let him get frustrated in thinking that, he's telling you how it is and he's got a direct pulse to the American people. So there was a response. And I kept telling you guys I wasn't sure what Donald's response was because he's not going to waste his time, considering he's probably the front runner. I haven't looked into the numbers, but I feel like Byron Donalds is probably head and shoulders the front runner, and this guy, James Fishback, is probably polling at 0 to 1%. And this is his push to get some kind of momentum going. Because again, like I said, you get momentum going with blatant racism in this party. So let's see what Byron Donalds' response to this whole thing is.
I'm not going to respond to ignorance. That's my response. My campaign's going very well. We've been in about 50 counties in Florida. We've been very successful in terms of reaching voters. Obviously having the support of President Trump, Senator Rick Scott, most of the congressional delegation. Our polling numbers, we're leading very big in the polls, and our fundraising apparatus is going quite well. And so, the only response I really do have is that, in politics, when you're in the lead, people try to do anything they can to try to take shots at you. But I'm not going to respond to ignorance. If it's something about policies that are impacting the people of Florida, if it's about the future of our state, we'll talk about that. But ignorant stuff, cheap shots, I have no response for it.
The guy who follows behind Donald Trump has no response to insults, cheap shots from people, even though the guy that he worships is all about insults, cheap shots, corruption, hate, racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, anything, all of it. But Byron Donalds likes that guy because it helps him.